Welcome back to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast. I, of course, am your host, KC Phoenix. And yeah, I'm doing a daily thought. Haven't done one since the Will and Jada one, which I forgot when that was. When was that? On the 6th. So yeah, it's been almost a week since I've done a daily thought. I've been working on other stuff, and slowly but surely it's coming together. But anyways, before I go any further, KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Daily thought is not your fault. I was thinking about this, and it amazes me when people, I don't know if it's envious or jealous or one of the OUS's, take your pick, that happens when someone is doing well, or when someone is having their moment in the spotlight, one might say, or where someone gains favor with an individual or others. And it's one of those things where people attempt to make you feel guilty for being successful, for having certain things. Also, they're doing cleaning or doing whatever outside. So just if you wonder what the noise in the background is, that's what that is. They're always cleaning around here, which is a good thing because it's nice to have people to do that. But it's not a person's fault because they are who they are. And what I mean by that, let's talk about beauty. Which again, I've said this a gazillion times and I will say it again right now. Beauty is subjective. I have looked at someone and I've been like, oh my goodness, that person is gorgeous. And then someone that I may know may look at the person and be like, oh, they're not that attractive. You know, it's subjective. It's whatever someone likes. So there isn't a true standard. As much as some people would like to say that, there isn't a true standard for what is beautiful. There just isn't. You could even take it to inanimate objects like paintings and stuff like that. Some people think Picasso is awesome. Other people think Picasso is garbage. It's all about what the individual likes, what that person's reality of beauty is, what that person's reality of value is. However, when you have people who see that you are in demand, that see that you're doing your thing and you're receiving credit for that, it's not your fault. If a lot of people consider you beautiful, you don't have anything to do with that. I mean, obviously, maybe you go to the gym or you do some skincare routines or whatever. But for the most part with beauty, you don't have anything to do with that. That's the divine. That's God. The genetics that God gave you. That's what that is. You just happen to be fortunate to receive grace in that department. It isn't something that you can truly take full credit for. But yet, people out there will be upset because an individual is receiving attention because of their beauty. Or if someone has money, let's say they work for that money. Okay. Let's say they didn't work for that money. Okay. Where they were born into it, because you have people who are born into money. Even though that's not as true as a lot of people may think. A lot of people think that a lot of the millionaires and billionaires and so on and so forth are people born into it. That's not the case. It's usually people who worked their way up and then went into that upper echelon of what one considers financially successful. But that's another topic for another day. Regardless, it's not that person's fault that they're successful. If you are successful financially, it's not your fault. If you're a great mother, if you're a great father, it's not your fault that you are. It's not your fault that you're great at whatever you do or that you are recognized for whatever you do. That is not your fault. If someone has an issue with your money, your success, you as a parent, your beauty, whatever it is, that is a them problem. That's not a you problem. That's something they need to work on. It's never your fault when it comes to things like that. Now, I always believe, here's the caveat, I always believe in taking accountability for things. Don't think that me saying it's not your fault means that I don't believe in accountability. I strongly believe in accountability. However, there are certain things that are not your fault. It just isn't. It's not your fault that you're popular. You can't help it that people like you. You can't help it that people are drawn to you. You can't help it that you're extremely smart and that you may know the answers that other people don't know. It's not your fault. That's a them issue. That's not a you issue. Don't let anyone's jealousy, insecurity, or envy get to you. Continue to do what you do. Because again, that is a them issue. It's not your fault of what country you're born in. Just like some people don't know this. Over 1 billion, B as in boy, over 1 billion people don't have access to clean water. Over 1 billion. That's a lot of people don't have access to clean water. I have this water bottle right here that's not even open yet, and I have this water bottle that I've been sipping on this morning. I can go to the bathroom, get water out the shower, out the sink. I can go to the kitchen, get water out of there, or any of the other bottled waters. Hell, I can go down the street to a grocery store, to a gas station, to wherever, and get clean water. Part of the reason is because I was born in the United States. Not saying that all water is clean in the United States, because believe me, the United States has its issues. However, for the most part, having access to clean water is not as difficult in the United States as it may be in another country. It's not my fault or anybody else's fault that we were born in the United States. It is what it is. That's not our fault. And vice versa, where someone in another country may have access to something that someone in the United States doesn't have access to. It's not their fault that they have access to something more easily because they're in their country than the United States. I'll give you an example. Europe has some of the most amazing architecture in the world. The architecture in the United States is okay. I mean, you know. But as for going back to Renaissance stuff and things of that nature, we don't have any of that here. I mean, this country isn't even that old. So, but it's not their fault that they were born over there and they have access to that type of culture. It's not their fault. And that's what I'm doing this daily thought for. Some things just aren't people's fault. It's just, it is how it is. This is the way it was set up by the divine. Period. Full stop. The divine said, you know what? Yep, I'm going to give them the genetics. Most people are going to be attracted to them physically. Or I'm going to give them the personality. And they're going to have this amazing personality that people are just drawn to them. The thing is that you can't get caught up in where someone has something that you may feel you don't have it. What you can do, because one thing that people have to remember is that we're all born with talents. We're all born with gifts. Everyone, because this goes back to what I said before, everyone is a product of the divine, which is the light, comes from source. Because you are a child of the divine, of God, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, God, Goddess, whatever. Because you are a child of the divine, you will automatically have something that is of value within you. And that's by birthright. It's by birth. It's by birth. It's almost like where a king and a queen have a child, that child is a prince or a princess. It's by birth because they came from a king or a queen. It's a birthright. It's the same thing with every human being on the planet. Because you are a child of the divine, there is something that you are given, whatever it is. Air conditioning just came on, thank God, because it's starting to get hot in here. But whatever it is that the divine gave you at birth, and the divine knows better than we all do, that is yours by birthright because you are a child of the divine. Because there are people out there who feel they don't have any talents, and I'm telling you, you have at least one. And when you figure out what your one talent is, you will receive more. You will be surprised what will happen when you recognize what you've been given by birthright from the divine and are thankful for what you do have, instead of getting caught up in what other people have that you may or may not have. That other people might be more intelligent, that other people might have more money, that other people might have more this or more that, or be more beautiful or whatever. It's not their fault. It isn't their fault. And the same thing for you. It's not your fault if those are the things. The best thing people can do is focus on what they do have, make the best of it, and then watch it grow. But being in this energy of, oh, well, why do they get to have all the money? Why do they get to travel the world? Why do they get access to clean water? Being in that energy is going to block stuff. And also for you, where you're receiving that energy, where people are asking that about you. Why is that person so beautiful? Why does he get all the money? You don't let that energy come into your energy. You focus on you. One example I always give is the sun, because just like I was saying it was hot a moment ago, it's hot because the sun, it gets hotter here in Texas. Because we're in April now, and it's going to get even hotter later on. And you know what? There will be people complaining about how hot it is. Some people might be complaining that the sun is too bright. A lot of people might have a lot of things to say about the sun. But you know what? The sun was the same yesterday. The sun will be the same today, and it will more than likely be the same tomorrow. The sun will still be the sun no matter what you say about it. No matter how much you complain about it. Whether you praise it, whether you curse it, whether you pay attention to it, whether you ignore it, the sun will still be the sun. And sometimes you have to take on that type of energy where you have to realize that you will still be you no matter what people are saying about you. Whether they praise you, whether they curse you, whether they pay attention to you, whether they ignore you, you will still be you. And you being you, all of the attributes of you. I'm not talking about the what one might consider liabilities. I'm talking about the attributes, the things that you are recognized for. All of the attributes of you are not your fault. Don't feel guilty for being you. Don't feel guilty for what you have. Be thankful. I always say 3G frequency: grateful, gracious, grateful. So yeah, gracious, grateful, graceful. There we go. Gracious, grateful, graceful is what that is. 3G frequency. So gracious, grateful, graceful is what you need to be. Just be thankful for it. Don't feed in to other people's drama, other people's nonsense. It's not even worth your time because it's not your fault. And that is my daily thought. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Until next time, be blessed.